the difference between teaching and training. My name is Jennifer Mitchell-Early. I help individuals and teams achieve organizational and personal success, and this is Leadership Matters. When I was brought up in training, and it depends on where you go now, because some companies have segmented their position. So when I came in, my position was comprehensive. I designed and developed, and I facilitated the course and evaluated the course. So I had to do it all. Now there are positions that are just ID positions, instructional design. There are positions that are just stand up. That means you're just facilitating the courses. And then, there's the hybrid position like what I started out in. But having said that, when I develop curriculum, I have to develop it to the degree or in a way that if someone walks in off the street, if I'm an ID, I'm developing the program. So if I ever hand it off, if I'm ever not available to teach or an emergency occurs, or at some point I move on, someone else can pick up the facilitator's guide, equivalent to a teacher's edition, and have everything they need there to be able to facilitate the program. That means any exercises. If I add any script, like I literally script courses. So if you don't know anything about the subject matter, you can still train it. You still sound like you know exactly what you're talking about. Not only that, but I provide you with any questions. And I also supply you with the expected responses, just like the teacher's edition. That is something that has been cultivated for more than 20 years. That is something that I was taught, not in my Master's of Education, Adult Learning and Development, program, but that was something that was taught early on in my career and how you develop and design training materials. So any job aids, any how-tos, any videos. I mean, I have even scripted videos that have been a part of production level, videos with sound and lighting and cameras and, stage directions and all of that to produce our own training videos. I've done things of that nature. So those are the gamuts now. And, now we've gotten into a place where the technology is different. So, blended training was a big thing early on in my career, and transitioning from just doing in person to, being able to do blended training. And then we moved from blended training to being able to do self-paced training and things of that nature. And now with everything that we're going through, and things being online, now how can you provide, the medium where, you do snippets of training and people can go on, not do it at their own pace, and, gaming and have fun with it and want to do it, but make it shorter and condensed. So not having, hours worth of training, but having, 15, 20-minute intervals of training that continue to build upon one another. So this industry has definitely grown and changed over the time that I've been there. I laugh in one of my other videos. I talked about how when I first started training, and I'm going to date myself, I started training with transparencies and overhead projectors. So literally writing down the transparencies, taking the wet paper towel and wiping it off and drying it and rewriting something else was how I started training, to now, articulate and other things that people are using now to, animate their training and make it so interactive and things of that nature. Those are some of the differences in training now. And so we see some of those things even in today's environment with everything going on. We see that even in our K through 12 area of education, where teachers are having to adapt to this new online environment where you don't have a captive audience. And that's something that as a trainer, that has always been an issue. I've never had, I've taught mandatory training classes, don't get me wrong, but I've never had a captive audience. At any time, someone can pull out their phone, they can exit my training class, they can stop and talk to their neighbor, because I'm teaching adults. So there is no consequence. You're not going to get a detention. I'm not going to assign you a writing assignment. I'm not going to circle back to your manager. I have to be able to create training that is so valuable to you that you buy in and understand its value, and that you want to be there, and that you understand that what you get out of the training is what you put into it. Because after all, I am just there facilitating your journey. And I say that at the start of every training class, whether I'm online, in person, whether it's half day, full day, whatever the case, that I can't force you to be there. I've had people whose managers have signed them up for training and they weren't happy. But at the end of the day, what I got them to agree with is you're here now. So you have the opportunity to make the best of it and go back and show the fruits of your training to your manager, or you can check out, but that is up to you. And I think that, the classroom management issues are somewhat the same. And even now with online environments, I have to make you want to, adults desire, right, to log into my training, because their work doesn't stop. Emails aren't stopping, calls aren't stopping, people dropping by their cubes or offices or, DMing them. That doesn't stop. Their deadlines don't stop. Their workload doesn't stop because they're in training. So I have to make it an event that they feel like, you know what? Not only do I need to, but I want to attend this training because I feel like I'm going to be better for it in whatever capacity. So if you're thinking about the difference between teaching and training, I don't think that it is insurmountable. I don't think that it's huge. I am a trainer, and I have said before that there is a difference between presenting information and being an instructional designer / facilitator / trainer. And a lot of people, it has been my experience that there have been individuals like, oh yeah, I do that. I just presented some information last week and that's great. And I'm glad that went well for you. And I'm glad that you walked away feeling good about it. But that's not what I do. There's a lot of work that goes into what I do before I stand up before you get my materials, before, we do a fun little icebreaker, you play with the toys at your desk. There's a lot of thought that goes into even those things and how they play in to what we're talking about to help the transfer of training or the training to stick, meaning that when you walk out, you just don't forget everything we talked about. And only thing that you think about was, man, that was a nice little toy in my desk. I wonder where she got that. Or, I enjoy having candy in the middle of the day. No, everything plays into the curriculum as a whole. Everything has a purpose. Even those things that seem like, man, it's just a boatload of fun, it has a purpose. It connects somewhere. So if there were anything that I would think about, because I've gotten this question before from people that are interested in making like career moves and transitions and making the jump, the only thing that I would say is, number one, things are so drastically different now than they were when I came into education. I was an education major in college and transferred, and new college didn't work out the way that I thought that it would, or I had to take tests and other things to be in my professional level classes. So I just went straight communication. And here I am circled back into education anyway, but just, from a training standpoint. So I don't think that I think that teachers can bring a lot of things to the table. My mother and I talk about this all the time. I feel like teachers hold hands. She's a hand holder more than I am. I don't really hold hands. I guide. I leave the journey up to you, but I set all of my participants up for success. I think the biggest thing, if you want to set yourself up for success to make a transition, is to really understand the differences between the two. Just like I would have to understand the difference if I went and decided to go through, back to K through 12 and teaching. There's a difference between that, and there's a difference between teaching on the post-secondary level. And to understand it, to appreciate the differences, and to embrace them. Again, if teachers are developing curriculum for, their classes too, throughout the 9 months or 12 months, depending on your school district that you're in session. So you have curriculum not only for yourself, but you also are developing curriculum for your subs when you're out, and what they can go through during the day, where the class has been and all of that. So it's not that big of a leap, with the exception of most of what I do is from scratch. And I have to do everything myself. It's not pre-developed Any activity that I think of, I have to develop, I have to design, I have to create, create copies, create the games, create whatever. And that's not really a leap for a lot of teachers. But if there was one thing that I could say that I would think would be, the bridge that would have to be gapped, it would be that. And then second from that would be to understand the differences in your learners. Because just like teaching kids is no walk in the park, the same would be true for adults. Just like sometimes kids don't have filters, the same is true for adults. But there are really no consequences on, the adult level as there are on the children's level to, get them to quote unquote fall in line. You have to create an atmosphere again where they want to be there, where they see the value. And most adult learners, they come to it they want it, or else they wouldn't be there. And they have a lot that they want to add to it and be a part of it and help to create the atmosphere and create the learning environment. I have had a wonderful career, still going. I love working with adults. I don't have a problem even working with kids. I enjoyed that too. I just love education, but I've not had issues. Even when I had a participant that wasn't, incredibly happy to be there and told everybody that, every participant at every opportunity in the class, it has still worked out. And I still I can remember one person in particular who her manager signed her up for a professionalism class and she was not happy. But when she walked out, she was so grateful for having had those 4 hours there. And she walked out with something. And that's what's most important, because I told her that was, whatever she gets out of it is for her. And it's up to her to utilize it to, she may not share her manager's perspective, but perhaps there's some things that could have been polished or that needed to be polished that she didn't see. And if not, she just added it to her skill set, to, her arsenal if she wants to go somewhere else at another time. So she was very happy that she took the class. I was very happy to have her in there. And I really appreciated her input because it also gave us a different perspective to consider and to discuss as a class, and allowed her, fellow participants to be able to chime in and give, their experiences and how they handled it and all that. And that's the whole purpose for everything that I do. I'm not going to have all the answers. You're not going to have all the answers. No one person has all the answers. But together, we can at least learn to appreciate different perspectives and to say, you know what? I didn't think about it that way. Maybe if I do X, Y, and Z, and then you'll find success where perhaps you had an obstacle before. You were just at an impasse. You just felt like you hit the wall. You didn't know what else to do. But now you've got some other thoughts. Okay, I've held you long enough today. Hopefully you found this video valuable. If you have, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, please. Go ahead and like the video with your thumbs up. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you don't miss, or you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Have a great week.